Hey everybody, welcome to Pedal Pushers. This is episode 5. I'm Zach.
And I'm Matthew. Hello.
Hello. We have a new thumbnail.
Oh man, it's terrific.
It's great. It's from our buddy Danny. Danny.
Shout out to Danny.
Shout out to Danny. What's Danny's last name? I don't want to mess it up. Hines.
Yes, like the ketchup.
Right. Well, you see people's Instagram handles and you're like, oh, that's their last name. And then you're like, oh, that's not their last name at all.
Yes, that's true.
But Danny, he's a character designer. He works for like Cartoon Network, does a lot of great stuff.
Cool.
And I reached out to him and said, hey, could you draw Matthew and I in a variety of formats? Some
provocative, some not.
Yeah. And he hit us back with these, and they're just great. So we're super happy about that.
I was very stoked because I showed June, my 2.5-year-old daughter, and I said, who is this? And she said, that's Zachy and Daddy.
If a kid can recognize us,
that means he did a terrific job. So appreciate it. It's very cool to be in cartoon form.
Yeah. Now we just have to have a cartoon.
I think so. Various adventures.
Yeah.
Us solving pedal mysteries.
There's way worse cartoons out there. Trust us. We're parents and we have to watch stuff.
The Pedal Pushers Chocobot Hour. Gosh. We could also turn into robot chocolate bars.
Hey.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be cool. So what's up this week, Zach?
Well, this week we got the big push, and we're going to talk about that bad monkey situation.
It's the hottest thing on the pedal internet since ever.
Yeah. And I want to just say that this is not an attempt to capitalize on the hype train that is... it might have slowed down a little bit since it all started, but I feel like when this all dropped...
Yes.
Literally everyone and their mom started making YouTube and different videos talking about this. So
I will go on the record to say that I want this to spur on like more listeners for the show.
Well, we need more listeners for the show.
Yes. But I thought that we should try to be topical. I know we're only out every 2 weeks, so we're going to be a little late on this one, but I thought there was enough juice, and I had some interesting angles that I wanted to talk to you, Zachary, specifically why I thought that you would have some good, interesting takes about this.
And let's face it.
Yeah.
We're the two smartest guys out there anyway.
Man, anybody that knows me, they know that's not the case. But I'll tell okay. But I feel like that I know, to quote Donald Rumsfeld, I definitely know what I don't know.
Okay.
All the unknown you know what I mean? That classic Donald Rumsfeld quote? It's been 20 years. Let's talk about the Iraq War.
Okay. All right.
Wow. No, but my point is, I wouldn't say I'm the smartest person, but I definitely know how stupid I am.
Sure.
So I will know my limitations. So a lot of what I wanted to talk about this is just asking you a lot about the demos that Josh did.
Sure.
Sort of like what his goals for the demo was. And then since you're a Klon guy, sort of like that angle with this as far as a lot of the internet sort of... what's the German word for when you enjoy other people's misery?
Oh yeah,
I don't know how to actually pronounce it. I've only seen it written.
Is that Schadenfreude?
Yes. Is that how you actually pronounce it?
Something like that.
Yeah, I've read it so many times, but I've actually the idea that there's a little bit of that going on with like C, you can get that tone, and you guys are paying $8,000 for it, but you could pay $50.
Right.
All of those different angles. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is sort of. Let's encapsulate sort of what happened, but I really think the most important thing is what was the point of Josh's initial video?
Right.
Like, I watched it this morning in full, and I thought that it was an interesting idea to kind of, which is something that he's hit on before, which is here's an old pedal that nobody likes,
right? And
it sounds good, and it's cheap, and here you could get good tone for not a lot of money.
Right.
That's essentially what it was about.
Yeah. And it's funny to me because having been in the guitar world, having been interested in guitar pedals as long as I have,
I
remember when that pedal came out.
Yeah.
And I remember I've had one, and I was like, yeah, cool. Yeah, they sound fine.
I had a Digitech delay on my board.
Yeah.
And I was always looking at that stuff when they came out.
It's a fine circuit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea that you can take something inexpensive and cop the sound of an expensive thing is I think that's something that a lot of people are interested in.
Yes.
Because not many people have the money to throw around to buy a Klon necessarily.
Yes.
But
Or some of the other ones that he showed off, like
Right.
the Zen Drive and the Full Tone.
right.
You know, so all and the TS10, which are
Yeah.
all getting expensive.
Oh yeah.
If you want to buy
absolutely.
one. Yeah.
And the ironic thing is most of those were not that expensive. Like if you look at what a Klon costs new, now you're like, man, that's a great price for a boutique pedal. You know,
if you bought it when it first came out.
You know, yeah,
Yeah.
$300 or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting thing. But in normal JHS fashion, it
Yes.
causes a bit of a
Yeah.
hysteria.
It's a funny thing, and that's probably the biggest point that I wanted to sort of discuss is that, like, I think a lot of what ends up happening is that we're reacting more to the reactions than the
Yeah.
actual video itself,
Yeah.
which is the reverb prices and people being mad at Josh for raising the prices,
Right.
boutique fans being mad at Josh saying that he's wrong because it actually doesn't sound good and Michael on does. And what I want to ask you is that, like, I tried to find a lot of those people, the initial reaction, and then mostly what I see is the reaction to the reaction. I don't necessarily know how many people like reacted negatively to this.
Right.
A lot of it is that, like,
I think it's a comment section negative reaction most of the time.
Yeah.
It's like that's a lot of the places that I was seeing.
yeah. Did you see some negative reaction to it?
Well, so the only place that I really kind of spend any time, and maybe this shows my age, but like is Facebook.
Yeah.
Because I
You're not on Harmony Central?
well, you know, I probably still have an account somewhere, an old Hotmail.
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
but because of that pedal show, that's like the group that I normally interact with.
Yes.
Because I don't go on the forums.
No.
I'm just on Instagram, and then I use Facebook because I have since it came out, so it's kind of
Yeah.
like just habitual.
Sure.
But yeah, people moaning about, you know, or just mocking anyone that would be willing to spend that amount of money on something now.
On
When
the Klon or on the revised Bad Monkey
on
price?
the Bad Monkey.
Yeah.
You know, just saying, you know, this is so stupid, or, you know, these people are idiots. But then you also have the same people who are trying to capitalize on it at the same time.
Yes.
So I don't, all of like the fervor and mania that goes along with it is, like some of it I get, and then some of it, it's really annoying to me, and I get tired of this stuff
Very quickly.
almost immediately.
And I was surprised you actually agreed to do this episode, considering I knew how annoyed you were about it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's not necessarily about what Josh did. I think
No.
Josh's video is insightful, and I think it's really interesting in a lot of ways. And I have a couple questions for you about that. But I think that it's typical internet where you end up reading so much about people commenting about the reaction of other people, and then it goes down a rabbit hole so quickly that you really don't know, like, who we actually talking about here. Like, are we,
Right.
like you said, are we making fun of people that are willing to pay $300 now for a Bad Monkey? Are we making fun of people that spend $1,000 on a Klon because they don't have to, because they don't need to get that kind of tone?
Right.
Are we getting mad at the people that got mad at Josh for, you know, what it descends so quickly, where I think the interesting question is talking about, you know, circuits and overdrives and how you can take any overdrive circuit and make it sound good.
Yeah.
And I think that was really the biggest thing that I got out of it, is that he had a great mix sitting with the band. They always sound good.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, they
it's-
have a super pro setup. It's a pro
And I
operation.
think that's kind of the thing I took out of it, was that, like, man, you could take any pedal and put it in there and you're going to get a great sound because you've got a whole thing created around it. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I like that part, which is like, oh, you could take anything and make it awesome.
Well, and I think that is ultimately the point of the video. Now,
Yes.
I haven't watched all of it.
Yeah.
Because after I saw it, here's how I treat YouTube. Unless it's something I am like super into, I'll see a video and then I'll go, okay, I'll watch that later. And then on the weekend when I'm like picking up around the house, I'll have it
You'll
on.
have it on finally.
in like
Yeah.
on the TV in the den. And I'll like kind of, you know, have it in the background. But I'm very rarely when these happen, like I don't give a shit about the Bad Monkey or the Klon or any of those things. Like as far as like people, you know, like making them sound like each other. I get Josh's point. And the point is he has a YouTube channel and he's trying to like make videos that people are interested in watching.
Yeah.
And I was not interested because I don't care. And I know that sounds kind of harsh, but that's the truth. And why, so often people like if I said that to a group of people, they'd be like, God, Zach's kind of mean. It's like, I'm not mean. It's just like, I'm allowed to not care about things.
Yes.
But the whole point of like, you can make anything sound good, I think is ultimately the entire point of the video.
Yes.
And it is true. If you know what you're doing.
Yes.
You can make anything sound good.
And that other side of this got me thinking about, sort of how good gear is now.
Yeah.
And how good, amps and guitars and signals and stuff. And thinking about some kid buying a Bad Monkey in 2004 and plugging it into their Flextone 2.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out how to get it to sound good. And it probably wasn't going to happen.
No.
I think that's sort of the interesting thing about the way we've sort of progressed as far as gear. And it's like almost everybody has like a really good setup now.
Yeah.
And understands how to do like their power supply correctly. All that stuff. And I do think that's a factor on why something like that could, be plucked out of, time and then put into a situation like that and then sound really good.
Right. And I mean, I think ultimately now these days, the reason why a lot of these pedals kind of come back into people's consciousness is exactly what you said. Now everyone has an amp that's decent.
Yep.
And it's hard to get a bad amp.
Yep.
Like starting out. But when it's 2004.
2004, yeah.
So...
I mean, I say that because I had recently had a Flextone 2 in 2004.
Yeah, the Line 6 stuff was still pretty prominent as like your entry level thing. You had some of the solid state Fenders stuff.
A lot of crates, a lot of Line 6 spiders,
Yeah, PV modeling things and stuff. You didn't really have... I mean, there was the Hot Rod DeVilles and all those things too.
Yeah.
But as far as anyone being able to just go to any guitar store in the country or in the world and walk in and walk out with an amp that right out of the box is going to take pedals great and sound great without anything into it but a cable and a guitar is totally viable. And that was not the case 19 years ago.
Yeah.
So
especially at that price point, because I mean, you're looking at small Fender combos and then Marshall stacks and all that stuff, and then nowadays there's just all kinds of choices that you can make to get really good tube driven tones. So I think that's a huge factor there, and I think that that's another part of this. So I want to hit on something you just said, which I thought was really interesting. When you come across all this stuff, like the noise of YouTube, and you're like, okay. Yeah. Here's another, video. I'm the same way, right? Like I didn't even watch this video until it started. Like, okay, what? I wanted to watch it because I'm like, what did he actually do here?
Right. Yeah. Sure.
Because so when you're trying to make those kind of decisions, like being in the industry and being super busy all day and hearing all that stuff, like when you see something like that, like what actually gets you to stop and watch something like that nowadays?
Either the community like blowing up about it.
Yeah.
And I have a rule now at work. I try not to watch YouTube. The only thing that the guys will catch me watching is usually Tested and watch Adam Savage like building something. But so I only watch YouTube at night, typically by myself or on the weekends.
Yeah.
So if it's not like the community steering it, it just is going to be that is completely pertinent to my interest, or I am so interested in like the channel and the host that I just want to hang out with them.
Yes.
And not that's not a dig against Josh or any of those guys. Not that I don't want to hang out with them. That's not what I'm saying. But like more often than not, the channels I'm watching aren't guitar related.
Well, that's the interesting part of this, because I've gotten to that point too.
Yeah.
When you've been in the industry long enough, there's so much stuff. It's like, I mean, I don't even really watch Dipped in Tone unless it's somebody that I want to hear from.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, part of it's because part of it's because I hang out with you all day and I talk to Rhett. But it is an interesting thing for all of us, people in the industry, and what you watch is like, I feel like this kind of pushed through all of that to make it go like, oh, okay, like this is something that we have to talk about.
Yeah. Well,
maybe the first thing since the Gibson hostage video.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good one.
That was a great one.
But I think your bullet point here about
yeah, let's keep going.
the demo with the full band mix.
Yeah, I mentioned that already, but that's a key point here. I think we should talk about.
So for everybody watching it, like, and I think this is true across every YouTube channel.
Yeah.
After you've watched something so long, you know how it's going to sound.
Yes.
Like Pete Thorne's videos always sound good, and it always sounds like Pete.
Yep.
To the point to where I don't watch them anymore because it doesn't matter.
I got that way with RJ, where it's like RJ's playing a new pedal. I'm like, no offense, RJ, but you're going to make this thing sound amazing,
right?
And I will sound just. There's no way I'm going to approach that. So
Right.
it's like it's not for me.
I do feel, to RJ's credit, he does
his styles. He'll switch his styles,
drastically change his style to better reflect,
which is
what a
great.
product
But it's
does.
still, my point stands.
Yeah,
he's just so good.
The Andertons, that pedal show, it's like it's always like the sounds. That's what, like, a lot of the fatigue for me watching, especially like demo related things or playing related things, is because of that. I would much rather watch. I like that pedal show when they're just like sitting around talking or like doing the guitar vlogs where they're taking stuff apart.
Yeah.
Because to me, I want to be involved in that and not like, hey, here's a bunch of chorus pedals. That's cool. And I know a lot of people need that, but I personally don't need it. And I don't watch it just to watch it.
Yeah.
If I'm going to spend the time to watch something, I want to be entertained. But to your point, you say, how does the style of the demo affect the results and all the equipment?
Yeah.
So even if you only take the only variable that changes is the pedal.
Yes.
So if they don't touch an EQ, if they don't touch a mic, if they don't change guitars, nothing else changes. The fact that it's going through such quality things is going to give you the best representation of what that pedal can do. But it also, I think, will make it sound... I don't know if it's going to make it sound better than it actually does, but it's going to make everything sound good.
Yeah, and the way I thought about it was, if you take a Bad Monkey right now and sit down and plug it right into your board and just start strumming on it, and then you've got all your how is that going to stack up with what you've got on your board right now versus what they did, which is to actually integrate it into, like, if you went to a guitar store to play it and try it out. Vastly different than what the experiment that Josh did.
Yeah.
But which is not a bad experiment, which is that I can take this pedal, I'm going to make it sound good.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of laughs at it. I mean, half this is all.
The funny thing to me is, like, I never once thought the Bad Monkey sounded bad. It has a stupid name.
Okay. I didn't put that down here, but really, I mean, if that pedal was called the
anything else,
the anything else, we wouldn't. I mean, the heavy metal pedal, the grunge pedal, the metal zone, all that stuff gets made fun of because the name is kind of goofy.
Yeah.
Right. But if this was called like just the Ultra Distortion, no one would care.
Right. Yeah.
But Bad Monkey is legit funny.
The Green Drive. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like,
matter.
and that is a big part of, like, can you believe the Bad Monkey? You're like, what?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But
that is half the battle here.
But I do feel like the demo is like, of course, someone who knows pedals is going to be able to make these things sound as close as possible.
And that was another thing I thought was interesting, is that, like, when sometimes we do an A/B test.
Yeah.
We'll test it, and you want it, like I say, if we're testing your Klon versus the Wildwood Mjolnir versus the Joey Mjolnir versus the regular Gold Box, like, we kind of want to set them all, like, to the same spot.
Yeah.
To kind of hear how they sound different. And I would be interested to ask Josh, like, how much tweaking did you have to get and settings on both pedals to get them to sound as close to each other as possible?
Right. And in the video, do you hear them in isolation?
No.
It's all just in the band mix?
And all in the band mix.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge, like, hearing, they're doing construction next door. So,
okay.
Hearing it with, like, bass is really going to, like, it just narrows down the frequencies that you can actually hear. So it would be viable to, like, actually listen to it,
And this is definitely not a knock on Josh's method. No. It's more me thinking about it, and it's a point I've made on the show before, but so much time is spent at home trying to dial in tone and thinking about it in this isolation, whereas, like, for the most part, anything that you got on your board now is going to sound good when you get into it with a band.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you'll be fine. And that's kind of, You know, he doesn't go out and explicitly state that, but again, that's what I got out of it. Was I was like, oh man, like you could like to give any pedal you can think of, anything that's like, and put it in with a good setup and in a good band mix. I mean, the bass and the drums sounded awesome. They always sound really good
if you're able to play your instrument. You know, that's the most important. Like this is a whole nother episode, but being able to like tell people like, hey, you probably don't need all this stuff. You know, it's like, I mean, that the joke that I had on when I went on the JHS show, the Mythos minimalist method, which I think some people thought was real.
We should make it real.
Well, I mean, like it is kind of real because that is my approach.
Yeah.
But the whole joke, like I think a lot of people miss the fact that like every jam I was playing a different guitar.
Yeah.
It was like just so stupid. But like, I mean, I know exactly what Josh was trying to do, and then the blowback from it, I think only had to concern with the fact that the price was going to get higher. And that, of course, exacerbates itself.
Yes.
Because, you know, everyone's like, well, if they're asking this, I can ask this, and it just keeps pushing till it.
And the funny part
apart.
about it is that like I don't even think. I mean, the whole point of it wasn't necessarily that you needed to buy a bad monkey.
Right.
The point was you could get a good overdrive at a good price, and you can make it sound good.
Right.
So if you went to go buy a bad monkey and said, "Well, I need that," that was the wrong. It was that there's lots of really good options out there that you can pay. You could go buy any number of Boss pedals they're still in production that sound really good. Doesn't have to, and then also, you know, that there's gonna be, as he said in the video, just wait a couple days or a couple weeks and it'll be all
right,
over.
Yeah.
And then you, if you really want one, you'll get a good deal on it again.
And I posted on Instagram just a story of me saying, is anyone tired of all these bad monkey jokes? Because like, of course, when these things happen, the whole community, the whole guitar space like shifts to making that the entire focal point of everything they're posting and talking about.
We're that bored.
Yeah, I have nothing to do. But
excuse me.
I got a few comments and messages from people saying, you know, like collectability is not real, all this stuff. And it's like, yes, of course it fucking is.
It is absolutely real. And that is a huge point I have on my list here, which is the real reason people pay so much for pedals.
I mean, like for out of production pedal, like discontinued.
Yeah,
things?
because I think that most of the examples that Josh had in the video was stuff that was out of production.
Yeah, from the original build.
Yeah, because you want the original TS10, the era that John Mayer uses. You want, full drive.
Or Hamitas and
yeah,
drive,
exactly. And that is, I think that if there's one criticism I'd have of Josh, and this is, he's, who am I, right? Just some asshole with a microphone that you have emboldened with lots of donuts this morning.
Yeah, well, hey.
And some coffee, is the idea that throughout the demo, he kept saying something like, well, this is a $50 pedal, so there's no way it could sound like this pedal that costs thousands of dollars more.
Right.
And the only reason it costs that more is because of scarcity plus hype.
Yeah.
Right. And that has nothing to do with if we came out with an overdrive tomorrow and we charged $2,000 for it because we said, well, this has got the juice.
Yeah.
It's got the secret sauce, and everyone would laugh us out of business.
Maybe.
Ooh, there it is.
I mean, some people would buy it.
And say oh, yeah, I buy into this. I hear it.
But everyone, anyone that knows me and us would know that, Zach would never do that.
To
your point, yeah.
To my point is that I think that you have to kind of think about the intention of the pedal when it was made,
yeah,
and not think about what the inflated prices are. It's just like if I'm sitting here yesterday and I'm looking online and I see a slab board telly going for $40,000.
Yeah,
I know in my head that I don't have to buy that guitar to get a good telly sound, but I want to buy it because I think it would be really fucking cool to own a 1960 slab board telly,
right? Yeah.
Like Robin Ford. Now, that to me is probably the main reason why it would be cool to get anything is because you want to say I have it.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So if somebody wants to buy a bad monkey this week and pay $300 for it so they can post a picture on Instagram, I mean, that's half the game, baby.
Yeah, I mean,
It really is.
it kind of makes you wonder, like, is Reverb sponsoring these JHS videos? Because imagine the percentage revenue they're getting from these sort of things.
Oh, did we just figure it out? God damn.
No. I mean, I don't know.
No, but I think that, like, and this is the question that I asked you, and this is sort of what kicked off the actual idea to do the show was, how many people will save up or spend their money on a Klon because they think this is the only way for me to get the best tone possible?
Yeah.
Like, what percentage of people are actually out there thinking? Because I think those are the people that are getting kind of made fun of this week.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, there has to be a percentage of people that will. I mean, obviously, because if there weren't people forking over $4,000 or whatever, they're $6,000.
Yes.
Then they would not be priced at.
But are they doing it because they want to be part of the club, or do they think that the tone is so much better on that unit than anything they can buy that they have to pay that price?
I think.
Is it both?
It's a little of both. I think it has to be a little of both.
Well,
but I think
when you bought yours,
yeah.
How much did you talked about how much you paid for it?
It was
when
like
you bought it?
$1,500 and some dollars.
And now it's ridiculous. So when you got it, I mean, it's sort of
it was a rite of passage for me. I thought, I've been making copies of this. I've played them. I've never owned one. I'm finally at a point in my life where I have the means to do this.
Yes.
And
Rich over here.
Well, and I'm gonna do this for myself.
Yes. It's a lot of it. It's also pedal history too. If you are
there's a finite number of them.
Well, the scarcity is a huge part of this.
Yeah.
I mean, they made more Bad Monkeys than they made Klons.
Oh, undoubtedly. I mean, there's 8,000 Klons. There's probably 80,000. There's 100,000 Bad Monkeys.
And scarcity is a huge part of this. It's like if you could go on Reverb today and there's 300 Bad Monkeys to buy and there's 10 Klons, then
right.
There's a reason why the price is the way it is.
It's like no one. I mean, people scoff, but people kind of get why a burst is 300. 250,000.
It's because people are willing. Because there's enough people that want it. That's willing to pay for it.
It's demand. That's all. It's
everything
basic
is
economics.
worth. Everything is worth exactly the amount of money that someone is willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
That's how much it's worth.
Yeah.
That's it.
And like there have been many times where I bought stuff and I've gone, that was probably too much money spent. But then I play it and I'm like, I'm happy with this. So who gives a shit?
Yeah.
That's kind of like, but yeah, it's silly. I mean, like, I think if everyone can just chill out.
Okay.
The next time one of these videos happen, then I mean, it's fun. It's fun to like be part of the joke, and make the memes, and try to capitalize on other people's own fervor. But to me, it's just all a little like I get a little tired. I get burnt out on a lot of this stuff really quickly. But I'm a bit of an old like stick in the mud.
You are, and I don't say that in a mean way. That's why
I know exactly what I am.
You are, and I kind of got tired of it really quickly, and then I kind of shifted, and I said, no, let me try to dive in here and see what lessons I can learn from this, and that's the big thing for me is trying to understand, like if you go to, let's say, Jason Isbell, who has a Klon and has a 59 Les Paul, right? And you told him you can't have your Klon, you can't have your 59 Les Paul. Like, he'll be okay.
Oh yeah,
but he has it because he can afford it, and it's fucking cool.
Right.
But would he say that it actually does sound better than all the rest of them?
Would he say that?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely would.
He'd say this sounds better than everything else.
Yeah. And
do we trust guys like that?
Yeah. I mean, well,
he's played a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
you've played a lot of stuff. Like
if it makes you think that, then there has to be something there for you.
Even if it's a little placebo.
Well, I don't know if there is a placebo effect with those sort of things, because there is magic and mojo in vintage gear.
There it is.
But it is all about how it connects with you. And I played Red Eye. I thought it was good, but Ed King, who owned Red Eye, he had a 50. I think it was a 55 Les Paul. It might have been a 54. It was a Rat Tail 2P90s, and that guitar was because when those guitars came to Carter after Ed passed, John was like, "Hey, can you come just make sound clips? I want to use them in stories." I was like, "Yeah." So I took the aux and I played every one and made like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Just something, just chords, something.
Yeah.
And that one Les Paul Gold Top P90s, I just looked at it for about 10 minutes thinking, I have to figure out how to buy this because it was the best one in that lot, but also one of the best guitars I've ever played.
Yeah.
And to me, Red Eye didn't hold a candle to that guitar, and it was like 40 grand, which in comparison to the other one, but all
scarcity plus desirability.
Right.
We understand how that works.
But all that to say is like, of course, these things, I think if they connect with you and they make you get to the place that you want to go, then that is the most valuable part of whatever an instrument is.
Yeah. And I think that at the end, when we're talking about all that stuff, I think that's sort of where the stance that I take on it, which is like, I don't want to have the Bad Monkey because I think it's a dumb name and it looks like shit. Like, I think it's stupid. And so, like, and I'm okay admitting that I want my board to have cool looking stuff on it.
That you want a Klon on it, don't you? Yeah.
I don't have any desire for a Klon. I have a Mjolnir. It sounds terrific.
No, I know.
But if I had the means, but everybody has their. But my point about the slab board telly is that everybody has their thing.
Yeah.
And that is my thing. And I would know that I could get a custom shop telly, or I have a Novo F1 with a telly bridge, and it sounds fucking amazing.
Right.
And it's the first actual production one ever made. Solace that Dennis Fano made for me for my wedding present.
Right.
And that guitar will be buried with me. And fuck them kids. I'm taking the guitar with me.
Yeah,
it's that guitar for me. But I'd still, if I had the means to pay 40 grand, it'll be 100 by the time I can afford. Would I buy a slab board telly? Yes, because it's a 1960 and that would just be really cool.
Yeah.
To have it.
You can they'll never be any more made, even regardless of however many they made.
That is what we're talking about.
Yeah,
here, really.
But one last thing about the Bad Monkeys and all these people buying them. I hope that they get them and they absolutely love them.
I hope so too.
I hope they if you spend. I had one. I probably bought it for $40.
Yeah,
and I thought this sounds fine. I bought it after watching Phil X in Fretted Americana. That was his overdrive. He always used it in all those guitar videos, and I loved it. And I bought one, and I probably modded it because it was in Brian Wampler's book.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I hope all these people that are spending the money just go, all right, yeah, that was worth whatever I spent. And it's a fun little story.
It's a bit. It's like like I said, it's being a part of the bit. I think is a fun thing too.
The last thing, and the thing that the only thing about this whole situation that I don't like is all the people that come out moaning about the prices and like Josh is inflating the thing. Like, he's not doing anything. He is. I mean, like, I know he knows what's going to happen.
Well, we could have focused on that part of the show, which is that Josh knows that this was a shit stirring thing.
Yeah,
and he knows it's going to be good for engagement. And he knows that all that stuff, but he's a good YouTuber.
It's incredibly smart.
He's a great YouTuber.
And any other YouTuber worth their salt is going to do the same stuff. It just is in a different industry or different thing.
Yeah.
But the thing that drives me crazy is what I feel like everyone else tries to come out and capitalize on. They try to ride his wave.
Yeah.
And I mean, that happens almost every time.
Yep.
And it happens across, I mean, this is every industry. If they have anything to do with social media, they're going to do the same thing. But to me, it just feels cheap and lazy, and people are so devoid of their own ideas that they can't do anything but emulate and parody. And to me, it's just boring and lame. So.
And we just did a whole episode riding that wave. Trying to reach that engagement. It's hard.
I mean, we're having an open conversation.
Yeah,
about
I know. I'm just playing.
Which I feel like is different than me making a reaction video,
a rant,
and ranting or posting memes or making jokes or trying to sell a T-shirt or anything. And I know Josh sold a T-shirt, and it's damn smart.
Yeah.
But I just like there's a lot of other YouTube channels, and like there was one, I won't name names, but after just like he had a video a day for like a week just about this situation, and I was just like, I'm sick of it. So
I hear you.
But
I'm joking more than anything about, because I'm the one that's like, hey, this might be good for the show for us to talk about what everybody else is talking about. But also, like, I hope and try our best that we're going to come at a different angle.
Yeah.
Come up with stuff that has real world implications for our listeners that care about, their gear.
Yeah.
And kind of how all that fits together, and that we all take the right lessons out of this, which is everything sounds awesome if you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. And to quote, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Don't get got, go get.
Yeah. Where's my toe knife? All right.
Well, all right.
What do we got next, Zach?
We got, what are you buying? What are you selling?
Which is, I mentioned this on the last episode, but that comes out today.
Yeah.
Did we look? Was it right? Is it the 28th or 24th?
It comes out today, as in today.
We're recording on March 24th, and the new Resident Evil 4 remake comes out today.
I played the demo, and it was so hard that I was...
It's probably my favorite game of all time. I think I have to say Destiny 2 is my favorite game of all time now, because I've played it so much.
Yeah,
which it is, but... I always was long-standing before Destiny that Resident Evil 4 was my favorite game of all time.
Well, it's out today, so you can go to GameStop after work and...
I have so much Destiny to play. I barely played it. I barely played it. I got a 3-week-old at home.
It'll keep. The game will keep.
I know. Okay, so
Matthew, you go first. What are you buying?
Well, we had our big, Nashville Guitar Store Tour Part 2.
That's right.
And the two big things that I wanted to try out was the Mark 7, and I wanted to spend a little bit more time with the Fillmore 50. Knock, knock, knock it on YouTuber's door. Yeah. And so I got to do both of those things, which is great. Now, I did the same thing I did last time, which is the Fillmore 50. Last time I wanted to hear you guys play it first.
Right.
And then now I played it, and then same thing. Like I want to hear McKinley and Zach play things before I do, because they're much better players than me.
I need to practice.
Stop it. I got a cough button?
Jeez.
I'm sorry, man. Phlegmy. So, Mark 7... Fillmore 50. I love them both. Mark 7 is twice as much.
And it's
5
times the features.
5 times the features. All kinds of stuff on that Mark 7 I would never use.
Yeah.
But it sounded really good. It sounded really good.
The pushed clean and like the crunch sound. The high gain stuff sounded like you'd expect. But the lower gain stuff, I was shocked at how good it sounded.
Well, the funny thing is in the Fillmore 50... that was the best tone too, is the clean tone cranked.
Yeah.
It sounded awesome.
Yeah.
And so Mesa, who knew? That was going to be the best part.
I mean, a lot of people.
I know, I'm just playing. I don't think people talk about it as much. I think they've gone to the dual rectifier, John Petrucci.
Right.
Does it chug?
Right.
Realm. And I think a lot of people are trying to get reminded of like the Mark series are like modded Princetons.
Right, yeah.
And
100%.
that was pushed fenders. I mean, like, who are the guys that were starting to use those? Keith Richards.
Right, yeah.
Carlos Santana. Not guys, playing Meshuggah, right?
Right, exactly.
So I think it's good to kind of think about that. And with the California Tweed and the Fillmore, I think they were trying to bring things back down so people would kind of say, hey, like, it's not just for people that are Chug City, USA.
Right.
But it's cool. Like, I dig it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I've been said it on the show before. I'm in the market for that stuff. I got to sell some things, but I think it's time.
Okay.
I think it's time.
So you're selling the same stuff you've been selling?
I guess I have not had time. I think I got to go to consignment. I think I got to just back the truck up and drop a bunch of stuff off.
Well,
why?
Tomorrow,
what?
We're going to a guitar show.
We're going to the Amigo show tomorrow.
Yeah. So
should I just bring some shit with me?
Yeah.
Doy. All right. I'll bring some stuff with me.
All right. So, on our little Nashville Guitar Store tour, I bought an old SD1. I don't know exactly what it is because someone ripped the rubber plate off the bottom. But fun fact: if you open up the back of a vintage Tube Screamer SD1, anything really, the chips, vintage chips, are shiny.
Oh.
They look polished, whereas new modern chips kind of have like a matte, like sort of like a textured thing.
knowledge.
Yeah. So I opened it up. I saw that the JRC 4558 chip was glossy.
Yep.
Brian Wampler had modded it,
Hey,
which is cool.
Fun.
And it was a fair price for a vintage Japanese, hopefully Japanese. It might be Taiwanese. I'm not entirely sure, but it's an old SD1.
This is cheaper than a bad monkey.
It is right now. It is. And then I also bought a Ricoh OCD, a full tone OCD,
Sweet.
made by Ricoh. But I did some research last night, this morning, and that's like a version 1.3, which is my favorite version.
Oh, okay.
So I was playing. I was like, this sounds really good. And then when I looked that up, I was like, oh, of course I like it. That's the one I like the most. So that's what I'm buying. And then what I'm selling, I'm probably going to take my 73 Les Paul to the guitar show.
Okay.
And I might take the vintage Firebird. Just because
maybe somebody gets itchy seeing it.
Well, I mean, like the thing I'm thinking is like there could be something I really like. I like the Firebird,
yeah,
but I don't love it.
That sounds so good.
It does
and
sound
it looks
good.
cool as shit.
It's super cool.
Yeah,
but I mean, like that's an expensive guitar.
Yeah.
I truly lucked out on it. But we could, I mean, if
we could see something, you do some damage.
Wheel and deal, maybe.
Wheel and deal.
And maybe I'll just take a bunch of Mythos pedals. Like, yeah, I have these laying around. I don't use them.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
next portion.
So we've got a section on the show here. We've hammered it a few times now.
Yeah.
But we've got, if you go to our Anchor page, Pedal Pushers on Anchor.fm/Pedal Pushers podcast.
Anchor.fm/pedal.
Just Google it and you'll see, right? You can leave us a voice message and ask us a question. And we got one. Adam Garver left us a voicemail. He asked us a question. We're going to play it on the show.
Or play it right now.
Hey guys, I got a question for you here. I'm a huge Jimi Hendrix fan, and I'm making my own parts caster, and I don't want to go full reverse headstock, but I do want to have a little nod to Jimi on the visual aspect of the Stratocaster. So I'm thinking about going reverse bridge pickup with a Jimi Hendrix pickguard. My question to you is that just going to be a visual change, or is there going to be a noticeable sonic difference with that reverse slant bridge pickup? Love the show, guys. Thanks.
Wow, what a great question.
Yeah.
That was terrific. So, to sum it up, Homie wants to know if he's reversing the bridge pickup, he's playing righty, he wants to reverse the bridge pickup to get some Jimi vibes. Mm-hmm. How does that affect the tone?
Totally affects the tone.
And how?
Well, okay. So if you think about it, the placement of the pickup is opposite. It's like a Telecaster.
Yeah.
So it's moving the pole pieces that would be normally closer to the bridge on the bass side, further away, and then putting the treble side of the pickup closer to the bridge. So it changes the tension of like what where the pickup is picking up the vibration.
It's reversed.
Yeah, it's opposite. And I don't know if he mentioned this because you were playing it, but I was getting things set up.
Yeah.
If like one of the things about that, and Adam, if you're going to do this, I recommend going the whole way, is you want to make sure that the pole pieces are opposite.
Yeah.
So far as how the stagger goes, because that's what we did with the Mythos set. But that
plug.
Well, they're gone now.
Future plug.
But that coupled with the backwards pickup, coupled with the reverse headstock.
Mm-hmm. Because that's different tension too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It that is the Hendrix sound.
Yeah.
Like that is one of the unmistakable things.
Yeah, I remember talking to RJ about this.
Yeah.
Because that's how, he's very adamant about that when he wants that sound to have everything.
Yeah.
Because remember when we were working on the Idris, he really wanted reverse headstock. I'm like, you're killing me, dude. I'm going to put out this brand new model. You're going to have a version no one can buy.
Right.
I'm like, you got enough Hendrix guitars. Just go with the standard Idris. But, I hadn't really thought about it that much. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, when you actually just think about it, you're like, oh, yeah, of course. That's going to change so much about how it feels and the reaction because it's just literally picking up the sound in a different place.
Yeah. And it's a minor thing, but I have played a lot of strats that were the Hendrix setup with the pole pieces backwards and the backwards headstock. And it does I think the ultimate thing is it feels different.
Yeah.
And then if you go so far as to use like Hendrix's string gauges, which are weird,
Yeah.
they're like,
Which you did that as well.
I did, and I do like that, but I put the Strat back to like 11s and tuned down. But it like if you want the Hendrix thing and you go all that way, that's exactly like as long as you can play like him, and I'm not saying I can, but if you can fake it well enough,
Yeah.
you sound closer to how he sounds. So the where it's picking up the vibration, the balance of the strings, and the overall attack of the note is different 100%.
There you go. Cool, Adam.
Do it.
I appreciate that. And everybody, if you want to be on the show, you can be on the show.
You can, people can hear your voice.
Just say whatever you want. Talk some shit. Well, okay, maybe we'll actually screen it. We're not just taking live callers. So
Yeah.
there you go. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
All
then
right.
lastly,
we got to push something.
we got that big tease.
We got to get that big tease. I got to open my can.
Oh yeah,
Well.
yeah. Already opened mine.
You all right?
It was fine until the end. And you popped me.
Yeah. Well,
Those plosives.
This is the LaCroix. I'm used to the Krog dog. So this is.
I think those taste way better than I got the last Kroger.
the Krogers are so much better than LaCroix.
Flavor wise,
Yeah.
disagree.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. It tastes more fake to me.
See, this tastes way more fake to me.
Man, I don't know.
There's a harder fizz on the Krogers. That's what I like, man.
Yeah, you want your eyes to.
I want it to burn, baby.
Yeah.
I want it to burn, baby.
So,
all right, what do we tease? Well, okay, it's not much of a tease because this episode will come out the same day.
yeah, and I've been teasing it.
Yes.
So,
What do you got?
It's the Joey Mjolnir. Back again in a big box, just like Joey's OG.
It's great.
Now, unlike Joey's OG, I'm not hand making the circuit boards.
Oh no!
In these. But basically, we made a new layout for like we redid the Wildwood recently.
Yeah.
And in doing that, I also was like, well, let's take the normal Mjolnir and make it into a big box and see how that sounds. And did it. It sounded awesome. And then we threw the germanium diodes that we're going to use in the Joeys in one. And it was like, that's the sound.
There it is.
And threw it in the box. And it's awesome. So we have 49-ish. We might set a few back in case there's some lost in shipping. So it'll be 40-ish or so.
Yeah, it's gonna go hot.
Yeah, they'll go quick.
Yeah.
But for those listening, especially if you're in the States, Joey is doing a tour kicking off in May.
Yeah.
And at the shows, he's going to have some.
Good.
So you can buy one directly from Joey, have him sign it, have Dave sign it. And like doing that, I will just say, Joey's not going to sell any of these. These are just going to be from us for this batch.
Ooh.
But if you want to wait and buy one from Joey,
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly support that because doing that supports their band, supports their families.
There you go.
More than the percentage that we would give him in doing like an artist thing. So yeah, but the only bad thing is that the next batch was not bad, but the next batch will be a slightly different color.
Yeah.
Because the first ones, the very, very first ones and the ones that are made now are probably all the same powder.
That's because your boy just bought it once.
Yeah, because Jacob had it. I mean,
Yeah.
the first ones might be like, that might be a different batch, but Jacob lucked out and had that finish, had the powder left, and it was just enough. And then we used all of it, and then the supplier said, no, you have to buy 50 pounds, and it costs like $20-something a pound. And so
we're not going to make that many pedals.
and that's thousands and thousands of pedals.
So many pedals.
So it's going to go to a different finish that's going to be a little deeper, but it's
I think it looks great.
it looks awesome.
I think it's great.
It's called Illusion Root Beer, and it is it's still orange, but it's going to have like a little bit more of a metal flake, a little bit more of a
richer.
solid.
Yeah.
It's more of a solid finish,
Yeah.
but it looks sick.
they
But
both
anyway,
look amazing.
yeah. But thanks everybody
Cool, man.
for listening. So follow us on all the podcasting places. Follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, we've got a dedicated Instagram account, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, kind of as we do the show, want to share more things.
You should take a picture of yourself every time you get out of the shower.
And where am I focusing?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Look like a drowned rat. I got so much beard right now. It's terrible. Need a haircut. No. So I'm gonna be posting sound clips from the episodes and some behind the scenes stuff and just, you know, jerking off. Just normal stuff.
See?
You know, just like that. So follow us. You'll see our smiling cartoon faces.
Yeah.
On there.
Great.
Really captured our essence.
I think so.
My wide-eyed optimism and your devilish smirk.
Yeah, I have a smirk. Yeah, it's me. Well, all
So
right.
that'd be cool. So the lessons we learned this week is pay whatever you want for gear that you want, and hopefully it'll make you happy.
That's it.
That's it, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Good night, everybody.